Hey, Flickin' Fanatics, this is Pastor Dad Fox, and today we are doing a live reaction to the first episode of Amazon Prime's The Rings of Power. See you on the other side. And we're off. This opening music is beautiful. It really does a good job of setting the tone for the entire episode. I think I'm going to have to get the soundtrack.
And there was a time when the world was so young, there had not yet...
So we're starting with an opening dialogue from Galadriel. It looks like the children of Fëanor playing. She builds a show her siblings. Oh, and it's got a sail coming up like a swan, which is the symbol of the elves in the First Age.
Stone sees only downward. The darkness of the water is vast, irresistible. The ship feels the darkness as well, striving moment by moment to master her.
Okay, so now she's having a conversation with her older brother. I'm assuming they're referencing Finrod Felagund in this situation.
Her gaze is not downward but up.
Galadriel already shows quite a bit of wisdom when talking to her brother, even though she's still a young child.
Learn to discern them for yourself. I won't always be here to speak them to you.
We thought our light would never dim. So when the great foe Morgoth destroyed the very light of our home.
Wow, the first view of Valinor is incredible, and the trees of light. Oh man, when Morgoth brings Ungoliant and they swallow up the trees of light, holy cow.
And a legion of elves went to war. We left Valinor.
The ship sailing from Valinor back to Middle Earth.
To a distant
Oh man.
realm, one filled with untold perils and strange creatures beyond count. A place known as Middle Earth.
I love the use of the old map. Oh my gosh. I just have to pause. That was Ancalagon the Black swooping in, killing a giant eagle in the Battle of the War of Wrath. Now, we can talk later. They're changing some of the lore around the timelines and some things, but man, this is incredible. This is way better than most TV series. This actually has the feel of a movie as far as the quality of cinematography, the visuals, the sound, everything. This is beautiful. So they're showing images of other cities, the helms all stacked up from the war of Unnumbered Tears, the fall of Gondolin. Looked like there was the burning of that city, the War of Sudden Flame. They have not listed exactly who her brother was. She had multiple brothers that it could have been. Finrod Felagund, Angrod Aegnor. The stack of helmets of dead people is incredible.
In the end, Morgoth would be defeated, but not before much sorrow. For his orcs had spread to every corner of Middle-earth, multiplying ever greater under the command of his most devoted.
All right, first look at Sauron,
cruel,
standing just like he was at the end of the Second Age, and he is
Sauron,
massive.
my brother
Mimics himself to look like Morgoth, the real Dark Lord.
but Sauron found him first. Passed out of thought and mind. More and more of our kind.
Okay, so they're showing Forodwaith, which is the northernmost
And the threat at last
like wasteland in the north, where they had to travel through the Sons of Feanor, and they're searching for the last remnants of Morgoth. Man, this looks really good. So I just want to pause real quick, and when they talked about her brother dying in the mission to try and find and kill Sauron, that's not exactly the same way it happens in the lore, especially if they're talking about Finrod Felagund, but it makes sense for how they would use that as a bridge. Also, he did fall against Sauron, so they could still use that as a way to tie back over to the Ballad of Beren and Luthien. But still, this is the sets here and the visuals are incredible for this show, and very impressive. You can tell the budget is all there. So they're on a hunt for the last orcs, tracking them across all of Middle-earth. Galadriel's a relentless leader, but she's going to lose some people if she keeps plowing forward like this. Oh, but wait, did she find something? So if they're in the north, she's finding the remnants of Thangorodrim, which was destroyed.
No. This place is so evil, our torches give off no warmth.
So I assume they're in Thangorodrim, which was the realm of Morgoth. It's in the very that way he knew nobody would come to his door to challenge him. Oh, here we go. Okay, the weaponry of the elven smiths, the Galadriel and her people are wielding, is impressive. They're finding the symbols of Saruman. The same symbol that was burned into the chest of her brother. She's reminding us that she can never return to Valinor because of the kinslaying and the stealing of the ships at Telperion. She was banished from Valinor, her and her kin. All of the children of Feanor were banished. Oh, man. There are still some bad things living in the old stronghold of Morgoth. This troll essentially looks like a Balrog, but minus the wings and the flames. It's a giant troll. Something to note, elves are incredibly strong and resilient, being immortal, and they withstand battle and recover from injury very fast. All her soldiers are laying down their swords and refusing to follow her any further. There it is, the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. So we got 17 minutes worth of intro before we see the name roll across. Oh man, the map. Rovanian. Other lands east of the Anduin. Man, this is so beautiful how they've done this.
World's strange. If I let 'em pitch cattle me.
All right, and this should be the Harfoots wearing the giant moose antlers on their backs.
Harfoot, don't care to be seen none. But if
Never mind. These are wild men. The Harfoots are around.
creatures they are.
All right, so we jump right from the elves to the Harfoots, and they are just blended in with the country, hidden right in the land.
Clear and clear.
Basically invisible to any outsiders. Wouldn't be able to find them. So the Harfoots are like hobbits, except they are intended to blend in with nature instead of settle down as like farmers and tenders of the land. The Harfoots kind of mix in, live within the nature, and kind of blend with it.
At this time of year,
I'm really liking the Harfoot peoples. Clearly, children Harfoots out into getting into mischief in places they shouldn't be, getting into trouble, which is pretty normal. Nori being the troublemaking kind of leader, young lady in the group. Basically, they found a wild berry orchard. I don't think that was a dog. The giant footprint in the mud right near them.
Not if he doesn't see us, he isn't.
Looked more like a warg.
You heard your sister, time to go. No. Come on, first one back to camp gets the first prize harvest fest.
Maybe not a warg, but a wolf. Okay, as they called it.
Just out digging through snails.
You can tell they spent the budget well on here. Even the CG animals look fantastic. Look really good, really clean. All right, now we're getting some Elvish.
What's wrong, man?
We see Elrond. He's addressed as Herald Elrond. He is the Herald of Gil-galad. And he's working on poetry.
You won't be permitted to attend the next session.
All right, they're in Lindon, which is the capital of the High Elves, where Gil-galad is king. And here we'll have a meeting of Galadriel with Elrond.
Galadriel.
Still out there. The question now is where?
All right, Galadriel telling Elrond what she found.
Supplies left.
Also, they were looking at a ship with the light of Valinor,
Leaving again so soon?
You know
which would hint towards Vingalot, which is Elrond's father's ship that he sails with the Silmaril on his forehead.
Your harrowing journey.
Galadriel's put herself in bad standing with the king
you going
by defying his orders.
If after the ceremony that is still yours, you shall have it.
It's crazy because Elrond is also several thousands of years younger than Galadriel. Galadriel literally came from Valinor before the First Age. And the Elrond is born at the end of the First Age, after the fall of Gondolin.
I can't believe I missed
All right, back to the Harfoots.
closer to home, that way you don't miss anything.
Unfortunately, I think she set the track of that wolf on their tribe of people.
I was careful. Learn the new songs they sing.
Nori definitely has a adventurous spirit. Her name is Eleanor. She goes by Nori.
Beyond our wandering. I've told you.
By the way, Samwise Gamgee, first daughter, Eleanor. Named after the flower, the golden flowers of Lothlorien. All right, sorry, enough nerding out.
Even trees have to worry about.
So,
Help you find.
pretty basic storytelling. The entire Harfoot people stay together. They stick to traditions. They do what they do, and they don't get in trouble, and they're safe. And Nori has an adventurous spirit and wants to branch out. Tale as old as time.
And now at last,
So Gil-galad was reading the speech written by Elrond.
triumph. For they
There's some strain between Gil-galad and Galadriel. She doesn't believe there's peace. Oh, man. She yielded to him, though. He is granted passage to Valinor for all the generals and the commanders, except for Galadriel was banished from Valinor. Okay, awesome fireworks extravaganza here. Would be something to make Gandalf proud. Galadriel struggling. With her identity. She spent so long searching out and hunting the enemy that now that she's called to lay down her arms.
Stand there breathing like an orc.
It is said the wine of victory is
I do like this dynamic with Elrond and Galadriel so far. Because again, these two will become two of the
deserved.
last leaders of Middle Earth for the elves. And bearers of the rings of power, the elvish rings of power.
Keep us in the north. Alone. If I must.
She's not going to be able to let go of the battle.
Then why would it?
Because seeing a sigil does not mean you're any closer to finding Sauron.
What I have seen.
Yeah, Galadriel has seen way more evil than Elrond has. He's far too young.
Into the moment of placement. Without it, what am I to be?
What you have always been. My friend.
All right, looks like she's denying the ride home to Valinor, which is bad news. All right, now we're in the Southlands, the land of men. All right, two elves are coming with long bows into town. I'm assuming this is where we'll see a Rondir, who's a Sylvan elf, wood elf. There he is, right there. There he is, a Rondir and Bronwyn.
It's a bloody patch of grass. The lot you lump us in with died off 1,000 years ago. When are you people gonna let the past go?
Men don't really like elves in this area
Whether we like it or not,
because they're mortal.
our true king will return.
Arondir's no joke. Very patient with this young man and his hot head. You're already good guy.
Give me a hand.
Yeah, I definitely like Arondir already.
Call them artificers.
So this relationship between Bronwyn and Rondir is supposed to be the kind of the love relationship in the series right now.
Beauty has great power to heal you. Or do you think me blind?
No. I think you talk too much. And you smell of rotten leaves.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
All right, I like this dynamic between Rondir and his buddy as well.
It ended in death.
You need not remind me.
Then why do you persist? Give me one reason.
All right. He's talking about twice in history that there's been a union between elf and men, and it was Baron and Luthien, and then Arendelle, or sorry, Tuor and Idril. All right, everyone's struggling. Arondir is told that he gets to go home, and he's struggling with it because that means he's going to be further away from where Bronwyn lives.
Of what their ancestors once did, but because of who they still are. And be grateful. You need never see them again.
So there's kind of a class warfare here and a mentality that men are lesser than elves, at least from some of the elf leaders. So Bronwyn's a healer using flowers, petals in order to make medicines.
Scratching and scraping. What's one of them doing here?
Even her son has that attitude of what's one of them doing here. The men think poorly of elves and the elves think poorly of men.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of your company?
All right, I like Bronwyn. She's got chickens, and I am a chicken farmer, so that's good.
She's got some sort of sickness.
What manner of sickness?
Ooh, a sick cow. Now I got to diagnose what's wrong with it.
Where's she gone crazy?
She wandered east a few days ago. I think she might have ate something.
Something bad's coming out of the east. Ooh.
Squirt it out.
I'm going with you.
All right, so something's creeping up in the east, poisoning the land. It's poisoning the animals because of it.
Be quick about it.
Ooh, man. They found an old blade.
Watch it! Go on, quick.
That's a Morgul blade. Ooh. This just got serious. This just got real serious. Galadriel's on the ship headed towards the Undying Lands. I didn't see that coming. I thought she would reject it. Or maybe she's refused it.
Must look to the new sunrise. To that end. Are you acquainted with the work of Lord Celebrimbor?
The greatest of elven smiths, of course.
Yes, Celebrimbor. Here we go. He's the Elven Smith. Made the doors to
The new project.
Mines of Moria.
We've decided that you
Makes the Elvish Rings of Power. Ooh, and Elrond's going to go work with Celebrimbor. That's pretty sweet.
the details, Lord Celebrimbor.
Yes. All right. In one of our earlier videos, I looked at Celebrimbor, and he looks so much like Elrond. I assumed it was Elros, his twin brother.
First the big people, now the stars. Eyes open.
Everyone's trying to read the portents of what evil is coming. Even the leader of the Harfoots.
Almost like
Something weird is happening in the sky.
they're watching for something.
Tell me.
The skies are strange.
Strange how?
Alright, have that great.
On my way.
Strange stuff happening in the sky. Everyone's reading it. Wolves appearing. Animals being poisoned. A Morgul blade being found by Bronwyn's son.
Very, I should hope. I was born there. Why?
The people of Holden were
Opening up lots of storylines for the entire series to kind of spread out.
What did you just say?
And all the people pre-talking about all the problems with
truth.
I'm talking about my friends.
lore and everything they've messed up.
Hoping there were good people there.
They've done quite well so far from what I've seen. Is it all perfect? No.
Why I'm here with you.
But we're getting nitpicky if we're going to complain about any of this. This is really well done so far. Arondir has opened his heart up to Bronwyn, and now there is smoke coming out of the ground. The land is burning. The music is so good in this. They just keep driving in like that low, intense, ominous sounding drum in the background. Right, they're removing all the armor from the elven lords who were commanders in the army, who are now getting free passage to Valinor, and they're stripping them of their war garb and prepping them to enter into the Undying Lands. Galadriel struggled to let that one go. She remembers what it was like to be in Valinor as a child. All the elves are singing, except for Galadriel. It's like the heavens opening up right there. Looks like Meteor Man might be landing here in just a second. Which many people believe to be Gandalf or one of the Istari, who are the guardians of Middle-earth and sent to help combat Sauron. Galadriel's backing away from Valinor. She knows something's wrong. Oh, the Ents! Oh my gosh. They had the Ents.
Sometimes the lights shine just as brightly reflected in the water as they do in the sky.
Flashback to the opening conversation with her brother.
Sometimes we cannot know.
And Galadriel takes her knife back and jumps out of the ship. And what is she going to do? Swim back to Middle Earth from the Sundering Seas? I guess we'll see how that goes. Ooh. Death is coming. Brandyfoot is the first one to come upon the meteorite man, which is eerily in the shape of the Eye of Sauron, with an old man with a loincloth burning up. I'd say my most excited point in the entire thing was seeing the Ents walking in the forest. Sorry, I'm a token junkie. Quick thoughts are the episode looks fantastic. You can tell they spent the money wisely. They did a really good job with it. Thoroughly pleased with everything they've done so far. There are some Tolkien lore type of things that I have questions, and I'm curious where they're going to go more than I have major concerns or grievances. I think a lot of the people who are jumping to conclusions on the trailer were making assumptions based off of minimal information that was incorrect, or maybe they were assuming they were making more changes than they did. There are some things that are different, but overall, that's a thumbs up for episode 1. Looking forward to number 2, and we'll be having that reaction up shortly after this one. All right, guys, thanks. We'll catch you next time.